Welcome to Stupid Money. Not that money is stupid. Most of us would love to have more of it, but sometimes we do make stupid decisions with it. But you don't have to. This is the show that unpacks how to stop making stupid decisions so you can be smarter with your money and have a happier, fulfilled life. So join us today as we tackle car debt. Thank you for joining us. I'm Diana, and I'm here with John and Vivian. Vivian, what's a crazy, stupid thing we do with our money?
Oh, cable TV. You know, there's so many channels to choose from, but how many can you watch at one time?
Do you really want to know? No, but that's a good point. They're just sitting there, tons of them. John, what about you?
Borrowing money on my car to go on vacation.
Ouch.
Now, I've not done that, but I know people that have.
Now, you just mentioned cars, and that's actually our topic today.
Well, this is really a serious issue. It's not a casual thing. There's $1 trillion in car loans. The average price of a used car is $18,000. The average loan is $21,000. So we ought to take a look at this.
Yeah, it sounds serious. So before we do that, let's go to the street and check out what other people had to say about car loans.
Do you have a loan on your car?
Yes, I do.
Do you owe more on it than it is worth?
Not at this particular time, but because I just got it. But if I hold on to it about another 2 years, then yes, I will owe more than what it is worth.
I actually do, because I got 0.9% interest but it should be paid off probably in another couple months.
No.
And what is your strategy to accomplish that?
Again, because if we take the money, we are very conservative investors, and the investments we look at the return is much lower than the loan we will have to make on a car. So we calculated the math and we said we're going to just pay it off and buy the car.
No, I own my car.
Okay. Tell me, what strategy did you use to buy that car with no loan?
I'm a great negotiator, so I actually found a personal seller that was selling the vehicle that I wanted out Jamestown, New Jersey. And I went out there to get the vehicle, but I wanted to know what all was wrong with the vehicle. He told me, then I said, okay, if I'm willing to buy the vehicle, would you be willing to knock this much off? He said, no. I said, okay, forget about it. Let me know at the end of the week. So then he's like, I got 5 more people coming. I said, okay, if you still have it by the end of the week, let me know. I got halfway to my car. He called me back and said, okay, I'll take the $2,000 off, not 25. I said, that's fine.
No, I don't actually.
How did you arrive at that success?
Well, that's actually kind of a funny story because I I don't recommend it, but I started with a very inexpensive car, about a $5,000 car, and then I totaled it. And my insurance was really good, and they gave me a little bit more on my car than previously. And then I totaled that car too, and they gave me a little bit more on that money than the car was worth. So I just kind of kept scaling it up. I totaled my car probably like 3 times. So I don't recommend doing that at all.
Doing some interviews on the street with about 70 people was very, very interesting.
I bet.
And as far as car loans, do you have a car loan?
No, I do not have a car loan.
You have a car loan?
I paid cash.
Oh, that's the best strategy.
So how about yourself? What's been your strategy with car loans?
I've had them all. I've paid cash, I've had car loans. Probably the craziest thing I've ever done was buy a 1971 Corvette, 454
That's a
horsepower.
cool car.
Yeah, but this one was a big piece of junk. It had been in a fire. Oh. And I made the mistake of falling in love with it. I thought I could fix it. So I actually redid the firewall in fiberglass, and that's not straight. It's got more crevices and angles to it. It's very complicated. But I did that, and I was going to restore it to a brand new condition. That was a mistake. My final thing that I did was, okay, I got to have a rear wiring harness, $800 for an 8-foot section. I said, no more. I packed all these pieces in boxes, banana boxes.
But why did you give up? How much had you already put into that car?
I paid about $4,000 for it years ago, and I probably spent another $4,000.
Wow.
And I borrowed money on my personal car to buy this.
So that was the mistake. It
That
could have
was
been
the
a
mistake.
do-it-yourself project that you did slowly.
So a guy
but
came
you
by.
borrowed money to buy it.
A guy came along, wanted it worse than I did, and I sold it to him, and I still had a loan on my personal car.
Oh, wow.
So my emotions drove that decision.
That's definitely what was going on.
My
So-
intellect just checked out.
So you finished the car.
No, I didn't finish the car. I never drove
So
it.
when you sold the car to the guy, he drove off.
No, he put it on a trailer and drove his truck off. It
Because it was still in banana boxes.
was in banana boxes.
So what about moving away from emotion to intellect? What are the core principles when it comes to choosing a car's loan?
Well, as far as emotions and intellect, emotions drive us. But Scripture seems to indicate that our intellect needs to drive our emotions. For example, in this case, Luke 12:15, if I would have just followed this, be on your guard against all kinds of greed. I wanted that. I dreamed, okay, I romanced the idea of driving this Corvette down the road, and I rebuilt it, and you know, sometimes falling in love with an inanimate object will get you in trouble.
It will every time.
Financing the dream will get you in trouble sometimes. So how do we translate this into practical strategies for getting a loan?
Well, the best way is to pay cash. Getting a loan, you've got to decide how much you want to spend on a car. If you go onto a lot, the dealer is going to suggest, can you make this payment? And they'll ask you one little question at a time to try to get you, are you going to buy today?
John, the dealer is going to ask this question. How much can you afford? That's the question he's going to ask.
Yeah, they want to know. And if that's afford on a car payment.
That's right.
Listen, you got to go onto a car lot, whether it's new or used, educated. So you got to decide how much you're going to spend. Is it going to be cash? Where am I going to finance it? Because they know their craft, and we need to play that game with them as well.
So ideal is paying cash, having a large down payment if I don't, in order to pay it off as quickly as possible, and going to the car lot already informed so that they don't actually impose on you.
What they want.
Exactly. Now, what about if somebody approaches me and is asking me to co-sign?
The definition of a distant relative is a person that owes you money.
That's a definite no. Do not co-sign.
And why not?
Well, you don't want to get yourself in a predicament where you're paying that note. You know why? Because there are things that will come up in that person's life that they are not aware of. They could get laid off. They could have a major accident that they cannot go to work, and so they're laid up in bed. They can't pay that note. Guess who's going to pay for it?
Me.
You're going to be paying
So
it.
if I'm not willing to actually assume whatever that loan is and actually be able to pay for it, then
Don't do
even
it.
bother.
Yeah, two things. Proverbs 22:26. Do not be the one to shake hands or puts up security for debts. Good advice. Number two, if you give money and co-sign, you're becoming a sugar mama or a sugar daddy. That person that's got that money, they know where to come back because you'll probably give them more.
So some of the things that we do best is actually contribute to people's habits without even knowing it.
Right.
If you want to keep learning some tips on car loans, stay tuned.
Hi there, Danil here. And I'm Victor. Today's money hack is about saving money by properly maintaining your computer. That sounds simple enough. What did you have in mind? Well, let's start with ways to keep your computer physically safe. That's a good one. I've seen a lot of computers ruined by spilling drinks or food. Liquid damage is death to computers. Why? Computers run on electricity, and electrical currents will pull the water from the location of the spill throughout the computer, spreading the damage slowly, like cancer. Sounds like a bad movie. Oh, it is. How much does it usually cost to fix? It usually requires replacing expensive parts like the motherboard and graphics card, which often adds up to around $300 to $1,000. Ouch, that's a lot. What's another way to care for a computer? Another simple thing is removing the dust that collects inside the computer. How should someone go about doing that? Candare is a good option for blowing out the dust because it's dry and easy to handle. Don't use a vacuum or blow on it with your mouth. And how much could keeping your computer dust-free save you? It's hard to say, but it could save you a trip to the computer repair shop, which will likely cost you at least $100. I've seen computer problems fixed simply by removing the dust. But in general, what I'd say is that removing dust prolongs the longevity of both the physical and internal parts of a computer. That's good to know. So we've talked about some physical ways to maintain a computer. What are some ways to protect the software in a computer? Well, of course, the primary danger out there is malware. What is malware? It's computer code written to harm you or your computer. Viruses are one type of malware. Other types include worms, trojans, adware, and spyware. I don't want those. How do you suggest I stop them? First off, you should run an antivirus at all times. There are some good ones out there like Windows Defender, which comes with the operating system. And that will help me detect and destroy viruses on my computer? Yes, but keep in mind that no virus scanner is 100% foolproof. You should always take steps to prevent viruses from infecting your computer in the first place. What do you suggest? First, don't download attachments from emails from people you don't know. Even if it's a Nigerian prince who needs my bank account number to help transfer millions of dollars promising to share the money? Especially those types. Okay, what else? When downloading software from the internet, make sure you're only downloading what you want. Some sites will try to get you to download extras that you don't need, and those items may contain viruses. Also, to be safe, I suggest not downloading anything from a company that you don't recognize. But I have a Mac. Macs don't get malware, right? Well, it's much less likely to, but it's still possible. Something simple both Mac and PC users can do to protect their computers from malware is to always install the latest software updates. That sounds easy enough. So how much can protecting a computer from malware save you? Malware removal by a computer repair shop often costs around $100, but could cost more. Scams using malware could be much, much worse. So you're saying that practicing safe cybersecurity could save a lot of headaches and some serious dough? Yeah, some serious dough. Okay, thanks for the tips, and thank you for joining us on today's Money Hack.
Hi, we've been learning about buying cars today. You know, you can never learn too much. So today we're going to visit with Dave and his friends on Stewardship for Dummies.
Howdy, folks. It's a beautiful day here in Toadsuck, Arkansas. Hey, Cousin Luke, did you hear that Cousin Billy Bob bought a vote last week? Was he running for mayor? I wouldn't vote for him. You not, but I sure wouldn't. Why? Because he's buying votes. I didn't say vote. Yes, you did. No, I didn't. Yes, you did. No, I didn't. I said vote. He bought a vote. How many votes did he buy? One. Did he win the election? No. Do you even know what a vote is? Do I know what a vote is? Of course I know what a vote is. What, do I look like a dummy? Don't answer that. Okay, what is a vote? Votes are what wins you an election. I am talking about a Chevrolet Volt car. Is that the car that runs on a battery? Yes. Is that the car that can go 60 miles on one charge? Yes. Is that the car that has a drunk bird in its trunk? A drunk bird? Yeah. You know, they call it a hybrid. Look, they call it a hybrid. Whatever. You know, I need a new car, but I don't want to go in debt for one. Well, you know, you could always lease one. Or can I lease one in Toadsuck that has a motor, 4 doors, 4 wheels, and a windshield? Well, you could try Hertz. Who Hertz? Oh, no, not who Hertz, just Hertz. Then why doesn't he take an Astron? Luke, think. I would, but you won't let me think. All you make me do is talk. Besides, you're the one that got off script. Look, if you don't want to go in debt for a car, you can lease. Yeah, now that I think about it, I don't want to go in debt or lease or buy. I think I'll just continue riding lawnmower around town.
Our next guest is from Bakersfield, California. Kirk is a commercial banker. You'll want to stay tuned for his experience-driven insights.
Welcome back to Stupid Money and Things People Do With It. I'm here with Kirk Kessler, commercial banker from Bakersfield, California. Welcome.
Thank you.
We're talking about money issues and crazy things people do with it. And this episode is talking about car loans. Mm-hmm. Can you give me an overview of the type of work that you do and how it relates to car loans?
Well, having been a commercial banker for about 40 plus years, I've had the opportunity to work as a car lender and work with a lot of car dealerships in the past. Today I don't do that specifically. I'm more into commercial banking, but I have a team of bankers that I manage, and some of them actually still do car loans for consumers.
Okay, I bet the stories you could tell.
Oh yeah.
Let me ask you, what are some common mistakes that people make when they're trying to finance a car?
Well, I think probably the biggest mistake people make is that they allow their passion and excitement of buying a new car overrule their minds and common sense and having an actual plan, a financial plan. They'll walk into a car dealership, they'll be wowed by the cool cars, the trucks that sit up really high that we have a lot of in Bakersfield, and then the sporty cars and all the mechanics and things that go with it, and they get enamored with that. And it's easy for them to basically, I wouldn't say take advantage of, but they're kind of being played somewhat by a car dealer because they know that people walk in there and that's what happens. So they just feed on that.
Now, a car dealer, they probably could make a sale or not make a sale. They're very good at what they do.
Yes.
And do they try to get you to get a loan, or do they like cash?
Well, they'll accept cash.
Yeah.
But they really want you to borrow. They want you to borrow a lot. They want you to borrow 100%. They want you to borrow more than 100%, whatever they can get. Okay. Because you got to remember that if you do financing, especially when you do financing through the car dealer, they have an arrangement with a bank. And so they can write a contract and make sure that they provide the bank what the bank wants, but then they can upsell you on that rate. So if the bank wants 4%, they can charge you 6% and they'll skim off 2% off the top. So
when I'm sitting there in that office and they're saying, well, these banks offer this, we offer the same thing or less, what are they doing to me?
Well, they're getting you to pay more than you really need to pay.
So I'll pay more, even though they'll say the percentages are maybe different, if I go through the car dealer?
They won't really address that. You might be able to negotiate to get a lower rate, but it's their piece that they're negotiating. The bank wants what the bank wants. So the smart thing to do is to go directly to your own bank and bypass that.
What is negative equity?
Well, negative equity is when you have an outstanding loan and let's say you borrow 100% in order to buy a car, and then a few years go by and now all of a sudden you want to get another car. Well, as we all know, that when you drive the car off the lot, you're losing between 20 and 30% of the value of that car immediately. And then since you borrowed 100%, you're way upside down. So you want to buy another car. So what the lender will do is, and the dealer will do, is they will sell you a car and they will roll that equity, that negative equity from the first vehicle into the next vehicle. So now instead of 100% loan, now you may have 120% loan in order to cover that. And that's because a lot of people don't pay a down payment. Back whenever I was cutting my teeth, getting started in banking, you had to put 20% at least as a down payment on the car.
That's unheard of now.
Well, that's unheard of now. But if you did that, then chances are you wouldn't have any negative equity.
I see.
So that's how that works. So either you pay up front the 20% down, or you pay it at the tail end of the contract. Thing is, at the tail end of the contract, it's costing you interest in order to cover that. So
negative equity can happen whether it's a new car or even a pre-owned car.
Oh yeah, it can. But it won't happen if you put a good down payment toward the car. So that's really the optimum, is to make sure that you don't have negative equity. And then you got to remember, if you have negative equity on a loan, then the bank or the dealer is going to want to sell you gap insurance, and that's going to cost you, because then that covers them for that negative equity piece. It protects the consumer, but it also protects the bank. So that way they don't have any kind of a problem when it comes to collect.
Have you ever borrowed money on a car?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. How did that turn out for you?
Well, I had to learn a lesson.
What was that?
Well, way back, this goes back 35 years, but I bought a brand new car. It was a nice Volvo station wagon that I could put my kids in, and I borrowed 100%. Even back then, I was able to do that. In fact, I must have had some down. I know I had some down, but I did have negative equity. And then whenever I went to go sell that, it was a big lesson to learn, because I realized I had to pay the down payment either now or later. And later just costs you more. So since then, I've never bought another new car.
So after that, cash, that's the way to go.
Cash, or I'm not saying borrowing money is a bad thing. I mean, that's what I do for a living. I lend money, and it's not a bad thing, but you just have to respect it. You can't go overboard with borrowing money. Borrowing money isn't necessarily a bad thing. In fact, even in the Bible, it doesn't say borrowing money is wrong, but it's whenever you get upside down, it's whenever you can't afford other things, and sometimes it prevents us from being able to, honor God in our tithes and offerings and other things that we can do to be able to help other folks if we're upside down in debt. We just can't do it. How many times have people wanted to help a friend, but they can't help the friend because they have too much debt? And if we don't have all that debt, if we're not burdened by it, we have freedom. And basically, it takes us out of bondage and gives us freedom to do things that we really want to do in life.
What's your opinion on how long a person should have a loan for?
I would say the best thing to do is to try not to go over 36 months.
Okay.
36 months is good because it gets you out of the car quickly. Chances aren't going to have any negative equity on that loan. And also you can get the best rate. The longer term you go, the higher the interest rate.
Yeah. And this day and age, the rates are pretty good, aren't they?
Yeah, they're pretty good.
Yeah.
Don't ask me what they are, but I know that they're pretty favorable if you have good credit and if you only go 36 months. If you go longer, again, it's gonna climb. And if you go through a dealer, it's gonna be even more.
Okay, the last question. I come to you for advice. What's the best advice available to me from your experience on car loans, automobiles, that whole issue of automobile and transportation?
I would have to say one of the most important things is that you need to respect your money. You need to respect debt. If you take good care of it, it'll take care of you. It'll help you, whether you're a business person, whether you're a consumer, buying a car, buying a business, it doesn't really matter. Respect it. If you don't respect it, it stands to destroy you.
Okay, how do I respect debt?
How do you respect debt?
How do I respect it?
Use it in moderation.
Okay. In other words, if I get it, pay it off.
Pay it off. Go by the terms.
How do I respect money?
How do you respect money? Manage it. Have a budget and plan.
If I manage it, how do I manage it? Put it on paper, in my head?
Oh, you write it down. You write it down and make sure if you're married that you and your wife both agree and work the plan.
Sounds like another discussion there.
Amen.
Thank you so much. This is Stupid Money and Things People Do With It. We'll be right back.
Welcome back to Stupid Money. I appreciated hearing from a commercial banker. It's not typical to hear from that perspective.
Sure, it was a good interview.
Vivian, we've been talking about car loans this entire episode. What's a good illustration or way to wrap it up?
Well, my advice would be, instead of paying that monthly car note, $475 for a brand new shiny car, why not just pay $2,000 for a car that's going to get you from A to Z, and then for 10 months, save the $475. You'll have $4,700, and then you have that, and then you sell the car that you bought for $2,000. You'll have over $6,000. You can upgrade to a better car. If you continue to do that, one day you'll have the car of your dreams, and it'll be paid in full.
Strategy.
That's illustrating the takeaway point. Have a plan driven by our intelligence and common sense rather than emotion.
Beautiful. So what I hear you saying is that I can achieve my dreams one day at a time, and that way I won't have any nightmares.
With a plan.
If you're learning as much as I am, I hope you join us again on Stupid Money.